It's time for another Q&A video ahead of the return of the Premier League this weekend. Here's a look at the big questions that have been sent in for Gameweek 9. Elias asks, time for Spurs assets to be gone. Kane and Son have been quite comfortably the top scoring FPL assets this season, producing 25 goal involvements between them, but there is a growing temptation to move them on due to their upcoming schedule. Spurs face 4 traditional Big Six teams and Leicester over the next 7 game weeks. Their next fixture with a difficulty rating of 2 comes against Fulham in Game Week 16. Whilst there's no immediate rush to sell them, there are strong alternative options with both form and fixtures in that premium price bracket. Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne and Jamie Vardy have produced eye-catching performances in recent weeks and have far more enticing schedules than the Spurs duo. George asks, what's the plan on Salah now? Last Friday, we got the news that Mo Salah had tested positive for COVID-19 whilst away on international duty with Egypt. His return to action will ultimately depend on how long it takes for him to produce a negative test result, but based on what we've seen with previous players who've tested positive, it seems likely that he'll miss between 1 and 2 matches. With his form and with Liverpool's favourable schedule right up until mid-January, I'd lean towards keeping hold of him and turning to your bench for a solution in Gameweek 9. However, those on a wildcard could take the opportunity to switch to Sadio Mane, who offers similar potential to the Egyptian barring penalty duties, and is much more of a differential. Best defensive options around the 5 million mark. The next 9 game weeks see Brighton face just 2 teams rated higher than a 3 on the FDR, giving Tariq Lamptey potential to add to his 1 goal and 3 assists. Only Robertson has had more touches in the opposition's box this season, amongst FPL defenders. Aston Villa have a kind schedule over the next 7 game weeks, while West Ham have favourable fixtures right up until mid-February, so both Targett and Kufal remain strong defensive options. No side have conceded fewer goals than West Ham over the last 6 game weeks, while only Southampton have kept more than their 3 clean sheets. Aston Villa have shipped the joint fewest number of goals this season, keeping 4 clean sheets. Sonison asks, Chilwell replacement. Ben Chilwell was forced off in the first half of England's defeat to Belgium with a back problem, but it's not yet clear how serious the injury is, so be sure to wait for the press conference later in the week before selling. But if it does turn out to be something that will rule him out, any of the 3 budget defenders mentioned in the last question could be options to downgrade to. For more of a like-for-like replacement, Man City defenders Cancelo and Diaz stand out with a favourable schedule up until early February. Burnley, Fulham, West Brom and Newcastle are the next 4 teams to visit the Etihad. Whilst Guardiola does have a history of rotating his fullbacks, Cancelo has made 4 consecutive Premier League starts, where he's amassed 2 clean sheets and an assist to average 6 points per game. His 11 attempted assists over that period ranks top not only amongst defenders, but also amongst Man City teammates. Rahul asks, are you going to wildcard this game week? And if not, when do you plan to use it? The plan has been to use the first wildcard as late as possible, so ideally ahead of Game Week 16, with a view to more easily navigating the blank and double game weeks that are likely to fall in the weeks that follow. We'll know more about those when the January TV fixtures are announced. However, there definitely is temptation to scrap that plan and instead play it ahead of this weekend. So we'll be taking a look at a potential wildcard draft in tomorrow's Game Week 9 Team Selection Part 2 video. And the final question for this episode comes from JFPL. What's the plan with Chelsea assets? Time to buy or wait and see? It looks as though Chelsea have finally started to click going forwards. They've scored 10 goals in the last 4 game weeks, and only Southampton have managed more. They've made big improvements defensively over that spell too, with no side keeping more than their 2 clean sheets, and only 4 teams shipping fewer goals than their 4. It's surely no coincidence that Hakim Ziyech made his return from injury over this period. He started in each of the last 2 game weeks, where he's amassed 1 goal and 3 assists to average 12.5 points per game. No player has created as many as his 4 big chances in that time. But Chelsea's upcoming schedule isn't overly appealing, with Leeds being the only fixture with a difficulty rating of 2 in the next 10 game weeks. Ziyech is definitely the most tempting purchase of all the Chelsea assets, but I'd argue that Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne, though more expensive, are both bigger priorities right now.